everyone. Welcome back. I know it's been a week too long since the last one. There was nothing to talk about last week, but there's more to talk about this week, which is why we decided to delay it. And also, we get a break next week before we start our Star Wars Christmas special watch through.
Yes, the official, the original, the classic.
Oh yeah,
the Star Wars Christmas special.
Last time we actually didn't have a date for the Lego Star Wars Christmas special. We have a date now. If you don't know about it, it came out today. We'll talk about that.
Today being Tuesday.
This Tuesday,
17th.
November 17th.
Yes, absolutely. This is the day that's being recorded. So now you, the viewer or listener, knows exactly how long it took Wally to edit all of this and get it out.
Exactly. Now you know exactly how long it took me. Because usually what I do is I just put it in the editor, and then I'll add the intro music and the outro music, and then that's it. Unless there's like some sort of pause in there. But
like when my internet just cuts out completely or something like.
Exactly. Same with mine. Before we get to anything at all, I'd like to say that Brennan got an accomplishment over the weekend. He was picked in the the third round or the second round?
It was the second round, sixth
pick of the 2020 Street Hockey League.
I've been drafted for something.
Sports, no less.
I absolutely know what it is, and I'm not just kind of going along with the flow at all.
It's hockey, street hockey.
Hockey, yeah. I don't know. Anyone who knows me obviously knows that my one greatest love, greatest strength is hockey.
Exactly. So. I mean, that's why you were drafted so high.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it has always been my dream. As I said during the draft, it was always my dream to be the sixth pick in the second round of a draft. Now I've lived up to that dream, get to cross that off of my list.
And it's all downhill from here.
Oh, yeah. No, like nothing that happens in the league will matter at all because it'll just be so much worse than, my one biggest dream. But yeah, so that was pretty cool. Pretty cool.
And it was on Twitch for
20 minutes. It was
20 minutes. That's how long it was.
I think it was 20 minutes. I was like, Wally was involved in it, watching you stream on Twitch. It was also like on your Twitch, I'm streaming it there too. And all of a sudden, it just cut out, and then you were like, "Yeah, it's gone."
And I just gave up at that point. Yep.
So sad.
But anyway,
Twitch stream.
Yeah. So you said you wanted to do one thing, and I forgot the last episode was the community podcast.
Yeah.
Because it's been so long.
Yeah,
but you said you had something to say, or you had an episode or two to talk.
It was funny because we normally do it every 2 weeks, but then 2 weeks had gone by and there wasn't a whole lot to do, and it was kind of difficult for us to find a date scheduling wise to record the next episodes. We're like, we'll just wait a week, and then of course this past week so much happened in terms of news and with the Mandalorian and all that stuff. But
I'm glad we waited
into all that. Yeah. Before we get into all that, I with community love every episode so much, and there's a lot of ones I wanted to talk about last time. I talked about a lot of them, but there were two of them I completely forgot to even mention, and I wanted to make sure I mentioned them, just because I figured we're just talking about things.
Sure, that's what this podcast is.
Yeah, just two guys talking about things
over some roasted chips.
Yeah, absolutely. They're two absolute classic episodes of Community that I really can't believe that I forgot to talk about at all. The first one being one of the ones just absolutely blew my mind upon the first viewing. Just really when I was watching the show, I was like, what is happening with this show? This show can really, there are no limits at all. And that is conspiracy theories and interior design with the infamous Professor Son and all of his hijinks and just how it ended and how they kept the character going in later episodes. It was so good. Absolute classic. It perfectly encapsulates a lot of points in the whole genre of conspiracy movies, conspiracy shows. Everything from the tiny little car exploding and Jeff tackles Annie. And it's so good. That one is absolutely one that every time I'm going back and rewatching, if I don't want to rewatch the whole series, if I'm just sitting down wanting to watch one episode, that is one of the episodes I will go back to a lot.
I think that episode perfectly encapsulates what Community is.
Oh yeah. That one so does. It does such a great job, especially with all the characters. Jeff and Annie is kind of competitive like relationship, but also kind of this they're like close yet competitive relationship.
And then the other,
and like the dean's role in that too was fantastic. The other one is Meow Meow Beans. I cannot believe that not one of us mentioned that episode. That was such a bizarre episode. It's just like that like dystopian future kind of thing. I know that that Black Mirror and
I was just about to say I think Black Mirror ripped it off.
yeah. Oh, but like I don't think they stole the idea direct, because it's kind of like, one of those common ideas, but like the specificity with how Meow Meow Beans and stuff in the Black Mirror episode did things too. But that's an absolute. It's so bizarre. It's one of the ones like the zombie episode, or what's another good example? Just ones where it's like things like, or like the paintball episodes, where things just go off the rails.
And the cinematics were great as well.
Devoted. Yeah. The whole thing with like 5s have lives, 4s have chores, 3s have fleas, 2s have blues, and 1s don't get around because they're garbage. And then the whole thing with Britta at the very end, just fantastic. The first time I saw that was after having watched, I think, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season 5, where like they're in this kind of like dystopian future where it's all divided up by layers and whatever. And just, it was, and so seeing that, and then all of a sudden seeing like the Meow Meow Beans episode where like it's the exact same points, but in a very comedic way. I just loved it so much. Those are just two other honorable mentions, not quite my top 5, but so close, because they're all so good. So great. Now into news.
So basically, on the end of Spider-Man, which is like where we left off, there's just constant string of Spider-Man news. We got a script reaction from the guy who plays Ned. I mean, like, did you see that video?
I did not see that.
Yeah,
that
so like he was reading like you could see his eyes. I think a lot of people, and like I remember seeing like in the comment section of the video, they're like, I'm trying to read his eyeballs, but then he's just reading. He's like, he's going through, he's like,
oh wow.
I was like, what is he reading? No way.
Oh man.
So that came out. There's been a couple, like videos of him like stunt doubles. There's been a couple of videos of that Tom Holland's leaked. I'm surprised he even told us a name yet, Tom Holland.
Yeah. Honestly, I can't wait for that. One thing that I also forgot to mention, I just thought was cool, because like I didn't plan this, but just when I sat down to the film, I realized that I'm wearing one of the Community shirts. For the listeners exclusively, you won't get to see the fantastic thing I purchased for like $12 online. It was great. From one of the episodes, I don't remember what the episode was called.
Me neither. But they were helping
the Gulf, trying to save all.
They made the diorama
all oily and everything. Yeah.
The one where they made the diorama. Most Community fans are like, which one is that?
Yep. So many dioramas. All of season 2 dioramas. But there's one last thing I wanted to say about that.
You're good. Let's see. Shuri. There's a lot of news about the Black Panther this week. Shuri will be the Black Panther.
I remember seeing a lot of those like clickbait articles. I was just scrolling through Facebook, and I was like, cool. I just kept kind of scrolling because there's so many of them. It's the other thing with like Marvel news is Marvel is so like mainstream now. When anyone says anything online ever, there's like a billion articles.
What? Yeah. Apparently the head of Disney or something or like one of the heads of Marvel or whatever was like said the Black Panther is dead in the MCU now or something. And they're trying to work that in because and the trouble that they're having is like you don't want to show him you don't want to show like an animated version of him like die.
Yeah.
While simultaneously like you don't also like want to see his like anything that has to do with Chadwick Boseman like on screen because you don't want to go through that again. So they're kind of
Spider-Man or whatever. They'll just have like like how they kind of do things. It's like a TV on in the background, just like news, and we'll have that kind of like just a news broadcast while things are going on, or like one of the other movies maybe.
Right. Let's see. We got a date for WandaVision.
Yes.
They catfished this on Disney Plus by saying 2020, but it's going to be January 15th, if I remember correctly.
I thought it was it's January something. I know that
mid-January.
Yeah, I thought it was like early 20s, but it may be 15th.
Let's look it up.
Let's do.
But it is coming out in early 2021.
Yeah, and WandaVision is
it still
something
says it online. It's had 2020.
Yeah, it's something where they were like, oh yeah, we said 2020, but we didn't. We just meant the 2020. It's not necessarily.
Yeah, January 15th.
Yep, January 15th.
I was excited though because a lot of people were like, "Hey, maybe this will come out
cool.
like the week after Mandalorian's done, so we have something to tide us over." But nope.
Yeah. But it is nice. It's kind of interesting because 2020 is now officially the first year since 2009 with no MCU content whatsoever.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess technically we had Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season 7.
Oh yeah, that was this year, but it's so
that's
far
like it's
from the
MCU-ish.
Even though in season 7, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. gave the MCU the perfect way to kind of make it canon still by doing like this alternate universe, alternate timeline thing. Mm-hmm. MCU is like still like, nope, you're not related.
Right.
I feel so bad for all those like other shows. It's like, just make them part of the multiverse. They can still be canon.
Yeah, exactly.
In the multiverse somewhere.
I think most of the Netflix ones like are technically canon, but like they're just like one-off. Like they're in the MCU because they did refer to it a bunch. It's just like over there.
It's like I really think if they just did like an alternate timeline thing, like this is like Earth 16 or Earth 412 or something like that, then
they might just do that with the multiverse.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that they do. I'm really hoping.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, and yesterday apparently the Disney CEO in a thing was like, they're supposed to have like shareholder meetings in December. And they're going to see from there whether or not, they're going to like review the Mulan stats and whatnot. And then they might review what's it called? Soul stats. Because that's supposed to come out December 25th. And they're going to see whether or not they're going to release Black Widow on Disney+.
And I'm excited for Soul and stuff now because like I've seen ads for it now. And I'm like, looks like a really good movie. It looks like an incredibly good movie.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
But I really hope, because like I saw another one of those clickbait articles basically claiming that like, a lot of Disney execs are very happy with how Mulan turned out and are wanting to do that at home Disney Plus like $30 pass for a lot of other movies.
They might have to.
Yeah, but I just really don't want to see this be like the future of movie releases. Mm-hmm. Because I just feel like it's so crummy for it to be like a subscription service. They have to pay for things on top of that.
Yeah. What they should do is like release it to like the drive-ins and see how that goes.
Yeah. Like, drive-in movie theaters. I know that there have been some of them that have been doing fairly well recently. I just wish that there was more drive-in movie theaters.
Remember when we almost opened one? Years ago.
Yeah,
it would have paid off now.
Yes, we were so close. We got almost through the planning phase.
There's still time. That field's still there.
Yeah. Yep.
But good luck trying to get those movies though. That'd be so expensive.
Yeah. For real.
So there's that. I mean, like I'd be okay with it. Like if like we have a projector, so like I can always like bring a sheet out back. And on the deck, and we could watch it. Like everyone pays like $5 or something like that, and, like split the $30 difference or whatever. But and then what's the latest thing? Deadpool 3 takes place during Avengers Endgame. Deadpool 3 plot leak. That's probably nothing. So
cool.
Deadpool. I forgot Deadpool was a thing. So
yeah. I guess that's all the Marvel stuff. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I have seen. Probably not. I did see that it's rumored that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are going to have like a cameo in Spider-Man 3 and then are going to have a role in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
I did see that too.
That's the latest I've heard.
What I think
would be more interesting, I think, than just cramming them into Spider-Man.
So what I think is the Spider-Man 3 is going to be just like it's going to have like a cool storyline or whatever, and then like at the very end of the movie, like the end scene is gonna be like Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield coming through like a portal or whatever. It's like, hey, some shit's happened. Come, we need your help.
Oh yeah, I really hope so because that would be because I really don't want them to cram too much stuff into.
It's too soon.
Yeah. I don't want them to cram too much stuff in the Spider-Man. But it would be really funny if like somehow, because I know it's like Sony owns the rights to Spider-Man, but the MCU is like trying to get him. It would be really funny if like Sony and Marvel or Disney or whatever made some kind of agreement where like they just like split Spider-Man. They have like the 3 of them. It's like Sony keeps 2 of them. The MCU gets like Andrew Garfield or whatever. It just swaps everything around.
But yeah, that's the best way I can think of it, doing it. And it's just unfortunate we'll
just have to see.
Right. It's unfortunate with WandaVision coming out so early though. That like because I looked at the original timeline and like it was supposed to end right when Doctor Strange came out in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
Like you had said that before.
Cool. Yeah. I was so looking forward to that because it's like you have a TV show that builds up to this huge movie event, and now I don't think Doctor Strange has started to film quite yet. It either hasn't started to film yet or it's about to start.
I think most of them have started.
Or it just started. It's either about to film or it's just started.
I think most of them down in – because I know they've started filming Spider-Man 3, but I think most of them are down in Atlanta. And they either start – like you said, it's either started or in like pre-production.
Because I know that Doctor Strange has a cameo in Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm. So I guess it would make sense if they were starting. So he'd be down there already.
Yeah. So I'm not entirely sure about all that, but I'm hoping that they still do the tie-in or whatever well. I'm starting to see spoilers, like actual spoilers about WandaVision on like online and stuff now.
I refuse.
I don't like spoilers. I really want to avoid all the spoilers, but like the MCU is so mainstream now that like every clickbait article that pops up on Facebook is about like, either Mandalorian this or MCU that. And it's going to be really rough trying to make it to January with so much already out. Like there's like, oh, this set photo was leaked and this costume means this. And I'm like, I hear nothing. I see nothing. I know nothing.
See no evil, speak no evil, hear no evil. That's me until January 15th. And then beyond that, because it's going to take like probably 6 weeks for it all to come out.
Yeah. I mean, so hopefully it'll be absolutely perfect with our next couple podcast episodes all revolving around the Star Wars Christmas special. We don't even have to look at MCU stuff.
Not even going to,
until after.
Speaking of the Star Wars Christmas special, thank you for that. Beautiful transition.
Let's dive right in here.
The Lego Star Wars Christmas special, as I said, came out today. And let me just, from here until the end of this podcast, there's major spoiler warnings for Lego Star Wars Christmas holiday special, and then Mandalorian.
If anyone cares about the Lego Star Wars Christmas special, which I would be surprised if there's a single soul that does, but if you do care, stop listening now.
And Mandalorian later on.
Yeah,
we're going to talk about. I don't know how in depth we're going to talk about what episodes 1, 2, and 3, but
yes. I'm just going to say Mandalorian spoilers starting right now because
starting right now. Right.
Oh my God!
We're gonna give you a second. Ready?
Yeah. Sure. Okay. Perfect.
All right.
When in episode 3 of season 2 of The Mandalorian, when the Mandalorian was on the boat, and then all of a sudden 3 other Mandalorians came out on the boat, and I was like, wait, is that the armor from like the Clone Wars?
That's what I said. I was like, is that Bo-katan?
Yeah, and then they took off their helmets, and I was like, that is Bo-katan. I didn't know her name, but I was like, that is the lady from the Clone Wars. And I had not seen Star Wars Rebels or anything yet, so the morning that episode came out, basically, I got a text from you, a text from Wally saying it's like, you need to watch Star Wars Rebels. And I was like, oh, okay, we've kind of talked about it before. I had a busy day, so I was like doing other stuff. And I was like, oh, yeah, so The Mandalorian comes out. I was watching it, and then I got to that scene, and I was like, this is what Wally meant.
That's
what I was like, how did she get here?
And it was later on.
Star Wars or Rebels, yeah.
Yeah, so no, it was later on in the episode when she was talking about the Darksaber that's with Moff Gideon.
There has to be an explanation. And
she had it at the end of. No, I'm not going to give you Rebel spoilers.
I looked up the Rebel spoilers just because I was like, oh, where is this? And I was like, oh, it's like season 4 or whatever of Star Wars Rebels. I was like, I don't have that much time on my hands currently. Right. I live in a box, so I don't have quite that much time.
There's things to do in the box. You got to keep the box tidy.
Yeah. Star Wars Rebels. So I was like, I'm just going to look it up because like it seemed like a good show, but I'm not invested because I was invested in the Clone Wars because like I really like Obi-Wan. I really like that kind of like prequel vibe. The actual prequels themselves were like all right, but the vibe of the prequels was like
the Clone Wars made the at least Attack of the Sith way better. Oh my God, Revenge of the Sith. Oh my God, I really just like Attack of the Sith.
Revenge of the Clones.
No, that came during Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah. So I looked up all of that, and I really like how they finally explained the helmet thing for the Mandalorians.
Yep.
About how, because like literally when the Mandalorian came out, I was like, oh, I'm gonna rewatch the Mandalore arc of the Clone Wars to like refresh my memory on Mandalorians. And when every single Mandalorian took their helmet off all the time, I was like, okay, oh, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And I'm glad it was finally kind of explained.
Yeah, they basically like said like, oh, you believe in the old ways.
Yeah. Basically, it's like
you're one of them.
You're part of like a Mandalorian cult that like believes things. You know, it's like word for word. It's like things are written, and like no other Mandalorian group actually kind of believes things like this.
It was funny when Mando was, or Din Djarin was just like, you guys aren't real Mandalorians. You took your helmets off, and then she's like, bitch, look.
Yeah,
I was born on Mandalore. I am a real Mandalorian.
You're one of those people. But it's super interesting, and like so I really love all the times, and it kind of makes his character a lot more interesting now because it's not just him being a Mandalorian. It's like him being like, who am I really? Because yeah, it's like I've just been kind of taking these things for granted. So it's like, is he gonna like kind of grow as a character, kind of change some things? Is he gonna like have an episode in like either late season 2 or maybe season 3 or whatever? He just like chills out with his helmet off. There's a lot of potential now for like more changes.
This, by the way, was the best episode of season 2 so far. Yeah. I didn't care for episode 2 or like 1 was good, but it wasn't as good. I
liked episode 1. 2, I was like, this just kind of seems drawn out.
They teased us in episode 1 at the end.
Oh yeah, I really thought that. Okay, again, spoilers, but Boba Fett is alive still,
right? And then they teased us, and it just never happened.
And just chilling, he's just out there vibing, doing his thing. It was kind of an odd like Easter egg type thing to include without actually turning it into any kind of overall point. I really thought there was going to be something there, but perhaps not.
So I saw some speculation, as everyone does, especially when something makes an appearance and then nothing happens after that. Is that like he'll either be like a major villain in season 3, or like he'll show up again later in season 2.
Yeah, I'm hoping he shows up again.
They can't do that to us.
That they do something with Ahsoka Tano soon, because if you haven't watched and you're just like, oh, I don't care about spoilers, well, Ahsoka Tano is going to make an appearance.
They have specifically said it.
I hope she's going to make an appearance. Maybe there's like, oh yeah, she's over here, and then he just never finds her, and then she just never appears again, or like he goes there and like there's Darth Maul or someone or whoever, and she just like kills her, and then he's like, oh yep, I will take the child now, and then that becomes a point. I don't know. I'm assuming I'm just making this up, but I made up the idea of another Star Wars Christmas special, and that came true. So,
just he's got to take it. He's got to take it all in stride,
So, is there anything else about the Mandalorian?
It's not going to be this. It's not going to be the next episode. We're not going to see. We're going to do another episode where he's traveling to that world and he gets lost on the way and fights giant spiders again.
Or like lava cockroaches, or like grass hoppers.
Those spiders are from Rebels.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So.
Oh, cool.
That's like, so if you had seen Rebels, you knew what those were.
Okay.
So like I saw those. Like I saw one come out of the little egg after Baby Yoda ate one, and I was like, those can't be. And then like I see the giant one, I'm like, nope, it is.
Oh man.
So that was a nice little Easter egg for Rebels fans.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. I thought they were just kind of some random spiders, but if they're actually like already Star Wars canon, that is kind of neat.
Yeah, they are. So, so there's that. Episode 1 was really good. Except for like they teased us there.
There were 2 parts that I didn't like in episode 1.
Which
first, the whole thing where like to explain the Boba Fett armor, the dude had a whole backstory scene, which like was kind of all right. It was kind of like I don't like things being explained by backstory most times. I kind of feel like it's
very un-Star Warsy.
It's like a little lazy in terms of storytelling at times. Like there are ways you can do it well, but when he was just like straight up like, yeah, here's a backstory, I was kind of like, meh. And also the fact that like, especially in the next episode, I think, or maybe it lives later that episode, they show you how loud the bikes are, but like he's just casually just soft voice telling the story while they're both like racing on the bikes, like, down the plane.
That's true.
It's like, I was like, how can you talk? How can you hear the conversation?
He was like, and so it's like, and so I was just they came into my bar one day, and then I'm sure this is what Mando heard.
Yeah, just nothing. He was just nodding his head the entire time, like, yeah, sure,
maybe whatever. They had like I don't know if his helmet was on. I don't remember, but they could have had communicators in the helmets.
His helmet was off. I remember his helmet was off. So yeah.
You're right.
That's why I was like,
no
what
explanation there.
Yeah.
Didn't even think about that.
The other thing I didn't like is there's just parts with like the fight scene where they were fighting the giant like sand dragon or whatever it's called.
Crate dragon.
Yeah. And like just it didn't seem like it was planned well. They spent a lot of time planning it, and when it actually came to like getting it out and trying to explode it, it kind of felt like they're just kind of just like chaotically like being like, oh yeah, we'll just kind of sacrifice these people and kind of try to get this thing out here. And is it going to work? We don't know. We have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then in the end, where's like the classic, like, I don't have time to explain. Like, bam, you go flying off. I'm going to be swallowed by this thing.
The thing about the first two episodes,
the
thing about the first two episodes of this season is that they moved the story absolutely zero.
Yeah,
they moved the story none at all. Except
the first one I kind of liked because there was a kind of a quest and it kind of didn't turn out to be anything, but there was at least kind of like a quest there. It wasn't like a journey to the next plot point. Like episode 2 is literally a journey to the next plot point.
Which they didn't even get to until the third episode.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, man.
There was an Easter egg, which apparently I looked it up later on. Or no.
Ooh, yeah.
No, it was on. I can't remember. It was on TikTok or Twitter. I don't remember. They're the same thing in most people's heads. The little thing that they pulled out of the Crate Dragon, the Tusken Raiders at the end, and they went.
I do remember
So
that.
Apparently, you can in Star Wars Legends, which is starting to bring a lot of like legend stuff into canon. You could use that I think it's like a pearl or something like that to make lightsabers.
Oh,
it's like a kyber crystal replacement.
Oh wow, that's really okay. I really like the Easter eggs and stuff.
Actually, that's been good.
Another neat thing about the first episode of season 2 with like the Tusken Raiders, I really like the whole like sign language thing that like that.
Yeah.
That they had. I thought it was like a really neat addition, and it kind of because they kind of just the way they talk or whatever is just like sounds. And I think that gave it like more of it kind of explained more of their culture, and it kind of made them more than just because in the Star Wars movies they're kind of just like little things where like the plot just kind of uses them to further other points. Like in episode 2, they were just like people who got killed because of Anakin's mother. They're just kind of just like these wild savages that didn't have like personality traits. This kind of gave their culture more of a basis.
Well, it's kind of like what they did in the Clone Wars, how they like really humanized the clones.
Yeah,
obviously a lot more condensed and shorter, but yeah, I agree.
And one of the things that I loved, because like I was just scrolling through, like articles and stuff, and I found one where it turns out that like when they were like scripting out this episode and kind of planning what it would be like, there was some dude who was like, hey, I think the Tusken Raiders like it should be like a sign language thing, how they communicate. I have like a friend who's like studied sign language. Let's bring them in to actually devise an entire system of sign language for them to use. So it's all real, and it was all based on like someone who actually like was deaf who used sign language.
That's awesome.
It's all like they did it really well, and they made it very they put a lot of thought in what they did for that, and I really like that. I feel like a lot of Star Wars doesn't do that.
Yeah,
a lot of the time.
Well, it's a very Disney touch.
It's kind of cool to see it moving in that direction a bit more.
Real quick about the Tusken Raiders and Legends. Star Wars Legends. Apparently, At some point, there was a Sith Lord that was a Tusken Raider.
I saw that. Yes, that's so cool. That was just
Yeah.
so cool.
Oh yeah, I just thought that was funny because, like,
Yeah.
again, you just see them like you said, they're just like these savages that like raise the thing over their head and scream. But like then you like realize that like someone in
Yeah.
Legends, someone a couple years ago was like, hey, let's make a sand person, a Sith Lord.
Yeah, they're actually like people with personality
Yeah,
traits and identities and a culture. So
exactly.
way to go.
So is that all we have to say about
I
Star
think
Wars?
so. I think it's time for the Lego Star Wars Christmas
The
special.
thing we started to talk about, and then we're
Yes, and then
completely
switch
other direction.
switch to the Mandalorian.
So the Star Wars Christmas special. First
Mm-hmm.
off, did you like it or did you hate it?
It's one of those weird things for me because with the original infamous Star Wars Christmas special,
As we'll find out.
It is so bad. It is
Unwatchable.
Fantastic. It is unwatchable completely. It is fantastic in all of its glory. And it like has like a lasting impact on culture because of how terrible it is. Like there's a lot of Star Wars that's like good and it lasts because it's good.
Mm-hmm.
Star Wars Christmas Special just lasts because it's horrible.
It's the worst.
The Lego Star Wars Christmas Special is just kind of like bland to me. Like,
in comparison,
it's like I'm gonna like I watched it once. I'm never gonna watch it again. I'm never gonna have any desire to because I can watch it again. The original Star Wars Christmas Special was horrible, but it's so horrible that I would watch it. I would attempt to watch it again and again and again, just because it's so like, what is this? It's like a cult classic.
I think the Lego Star Wars Christmas Special is like one of those. It's like they tried to make a bad kids movie, and they almost succeeded, but it was so close to being just bad enough.
Yeah,
it was just weird.
It's one of the weird. It's just one of those like kind of weird things where it's like kind of like a marketing thing. They know there's like hype around the Star Wars Christmas Special. They were like, how do we capitalize on this and like,
of course,
open up our kids market some and kind of get more interested in like Legos and stuff around the holiday season because like Legos are one of like the just when you think of kids toys, one of the things that always comes to mind is Legos. They're just trying to figure out how to make it more marketable than it already is. It's already like a cash cow, but especially in the holidays, you want as many Legos produced as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a genius way of them to do that and kind of because it was just Star Wars, whatever. It's like that's not gonna get as much traction. But when you say like Star Wars Christmas Special or Holiday Special or whatever kind of tag they gave that there, it's just like you're gonna get interested of both kids and like people who have watched or tried to watch.
Suffered through
is a fantastic I use the words there. The original Star Wars Christmas Special. So yeah, what thoughts there's a couple of thoughts that I had about it. Are there any thoughts you would like to share first?
Well, I agree with you with the rewatchability. It's very low. I mean, I might like do it like once a year to just laugh because I found it absolutely hilarious, especially the Darth Sidious character. Palpatine, he was just so funny, and Vader's character was also kind of funny. With the whole, Galaxy's greatest emperor. That was my favorite line of the whole thing. It's like, Galaxy's greatest emperor. I'm the Galaxy's only emperor.
Yeah. Oh man.
The Kylo Ren appearance was funny. I liked when they were fighting on the pod racers.
Yeah.
I found that hilarious because they're
man.
And then I liked how they got the voice actors from the Clone Wars to play Anakin and Obi-Wan. That I did like.
That was really good. I was like, oh, it's actually their voices. I was like, that actually sounds like them. I don't know how many of the original voice actors they were able to get for all the roles. There were some, one?
Yeah, Rose. Everyone else was different.
Yeah, because there were some where I was like, okay, that kind of sounds close. And there were others I was like, this doesn't sound like the character at all. Yeah, because like, especially with Poe Dameron. With Poe Dameron, I was like, that doesn't sound like Poe at all.
No. Well, I thought he kind of sounded like him, but the guy who did Kylo Ren sounded nothing like him.
Oh, yeah. Kylo Ren too.
That was funny though. the fact I like how they were just like, dude, put a shirt on. He's like, why is your shirt like when General Hux walks in? It's like,
yeah, they initially made one joke about it, and they kept like hammering in all of the jokes, and I was like, oh my goodness, it's so funny because like they just took all the characters and they were like, okay, name like 2 traits this character has. That's all the traits this character will have for the entire movie. So it's really funny. So like Kylo Ren's was like he loves Darth Vader, and he
it was really funny with the posters
didn't wear a shirt once. Yeah.
He called him Grandpa.
It's really funny. So one thing that I found really interesting is throughout the entire special or whatever we want to call it here, they like emphasized all of the relationships between all of the characters so much, except for when it came to Rey and Palpatine.
Yeah.
Because Palpatine is Rey's grandfather.
Yeah.
But they never mentioned that once.
Not even once.
Rey and Palpatine interact, and there's not one mention of that creature basically being her granddad.
Well,
and it's really like, yeah.
Did you notice how she didn't even say Rey Skywalker? She just said Rey.
Yeah. Because it's a lot of things where it's like they kind of like ignore a lot that happened in episode 9.
Everything.
Like a lot of the changes that occurred in episode 9, they just completely ignored for this special. And I'm like, see, that's what just bugs me, because it's like
it was fan service. It's 100% fan service.
Episode 9 still doesn't feel canon. For those of you who don't know, I do not like episode 9. Like,
I don't think many people do
whatsoever. There's like basically the people who hated episode 8 love episode 9. The people who like enjoyed episode 8 don't like episode 9 because they're so opposite.
I loved 8. Hot take, not even hot take because it's my opinion, but like in my opinion, 8 is the best Star Wars movie. But that's just me because again, I was introduced to it this year. That's my favorite.
Okay. Yeah, 8 I liked a lot too. 8, when I first saw it, I was like, it's all right. I want to see the direction that 9 takes because like 8 laid a lot of like stones for like a pathway leading to somewhere. It's like, okay, if 9 handles this well, then 8 will be a fantastic movie. If like 9 kind of goes back and makes it so that since the stuff in 8 didn't matter as much, then I probably won't like 8 as much. But then 9 just completely ignored 8, and I was like, dang, 8 set up so much stuff, and they just kind of ignored it. And I was like, I don't like 9 now. Right. Like 8 had a lot of confusing stuff going on, but that's the perfect opportunity for 9 to like take stuff and like work with it, but not just like ignore everything. Like 8 laid so much stuff down that I liked. I loved like the whole fight scene with where like there's Rey and Ben and like Supreme Leader Snoke, and then Ben kills Snoke. I was like that was one of my favorite scenes. And they have the whole fight scene with like everyone was like. So I think my favorite scene in all of Star Wars was that scene right there. It was so well done, so well executed.
It's definitely up. Really it's up there with the scene on Mustafar. And, yeah. It was incredible. Yeah. No, I agree. I love that scene.
Yeah, and so like and like one of my favorite twists in all of Star Wars was like the fact that Rey was related to nobody. It became canon that Rey was just herself, and it was like, okay, this is a great message for Star Wars to give. It's like you don't have to be the chosen one. You can be anyone and still play a big role. And then when 9 undid that and was like, oh yeah, Rey's a Palpatine now, problem solved. It's like, why did that have to happen? And it just feels so out of place. And again, the Star Wars Christmas special, which is supposed to reference, everything, didn't
disregarded 9.
Any part of 9 at all. I think there were 2 references that I caught. One where like Kylo Ren was trying to grab the crystal and went flying past Kylo Ren and went to Rey. That was a scene from 9, I think. And then the other scene with
no, that was from 7. And when they were in the snow after he had
you're right,
sliced Finn's back.
What was that?
No, there was one reference to 9. Is when they were just fighting when Darth Vader and they were just falling out of the sky.
Yeah, they were falling, and then like all of the ships were being raised up and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like the only reference from 9.
Yeah.
She called herself Rey.
Yep, didn't say Rey Skywalker.
Didn't say that. Didn't even mention Palpatine with her grandfather.
Yeah, it was so. I was waiting for. I was waiting for some kind of reference to 9 because it took place after 9.
After 9,
they made it very clear it took place after the 9th episode of Star Wars, and there was just no reference to it. I did like the whole Life Day thing. It's funny when Life Day gets referenced, but this was like, I know it's a Star Wars Christmas special, but it's kind of felt like they were just hammering in a lot of Life Day stuff.
Yeah.
But and the whole thing with like Chewbacca's family and all that, I really wish that they it seemed like I wish that like they made it like very much look like the original Chewbacca's family from that, but they made it kind of look like the new pieces or whatever, and I kind of couldn't even tell it was like his.
Yeah, I didn't know until like until they were in a couple scenes. I was like, oh, that's Chewbacca's family.
Yeah.
Who haven't aged, by the way.
Yeah,
since 1978.
So weird, so strange.
But here, there are a couple instances, like I was saying, that they did fan service. One, they made Finn Force sensitive, which a lot of people were like, he probably should have been anyway.
It was
they kind of set it up for that.
It's like, but did they make him Force sensitive though, or is she just trying to train him to use a lightsaber or whatever?
I think they made him Force sensitive.
There's nothing really with the Force and the Force Christmas special though, right? It was kind of just. And because she was like, I'm training him to be a Jedi, which kind of implies that like there is the Force involved. Which again, that goes against episode 9 too, because in episode 9 it's like, oh, you can't do anything unless you're related to someone. And when she was training to be a Jedi, I was like, oh, is like Finn gonna be like Mace Windu's grandson or something like that or whatever? Like how are they gonna tie like this one in here? But it's. So yeah, because there was a lot of stuff with that, and then like the ancient Jedi text, which again, that's a reference that I like because it's like, oh, she had them in the like the Millennium Falcon in episode 8. They kind of weren't really used a whole lot in episode 9.
Yeah, I was gonna say I thought those were burned by Yoda in episode 8.
No, because what happened in episode 8 is like Luke Skywalker was like, oh, I'm gonna go and burn them, and Yoda was like, no, I'll do it. And he had the lightning go to the tree, and Luke was like, no, and Yoda was like, it's all right. But what had happened is Rey had already removed the books from there, which is why Yoda was so chill with just exploding the giant tree shrine.
Okay. Yeah. There's something in Star Wars to me that's always been like this plot hole, because when I first watched it, I watched 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it's not really a plot hole, it's just more of a thing with me. And it may just have to do with the fact that he was a recluse. Why was Yoda so weird in 4, 5, and 6?
That is, see, it's a very good question, and because obviously 5 was filmed before the prequels were even more than just like a thought, so. It's I don't know if George Lucas just planned to have Yoda be like that his entire life, but what I kind of always just can only imagine it as is like cognitive decline.
Well, yeah, I mean, he said he was on Dagobah for how long?
In Yoda, he was
by himself.
He was 900 years old when he died. True. And he died like pretty quickly after training Luke, so he was just holding on by a thread there. But
it wasn't all there.
It kind of like creeped me out the first time I saw 5 because I was like super young or whatever. I was like, who's this like old like frog looking dude who's like doing all this stuff? But it was really funny because like I absolutely love the scene in like the Star Wars Christmas Special 2. I'm gonna call it. Where like they was doing like all the training and like I don't know who did it, but like on YouTube the ad lip reading of the scene from the original episode 5
Seagull?
Seagulls Stop It Now.
I love that so much.
They just like have like I go seagull go flying by or something. But no, so
everything.
There were some nods I absolutely liked. Like
oh, the
really
God, I forgot about the
really like that nod.
The nod to who shot first. Remember?
Yeah.
Should I shoot? Do you want to shoot first? Oh, my pleasure.
But then explain to me when they were doing the whole Life Day celebration and they had like a bunch of random Star Wars characters show up. It looked like Greedo showed up to that, or like one of Greedo's species.
It was one of Greedo's. It was a Rodian, yeah.
But there's only like 2 of them that have ever been canon in Star Wars. So not like canon, but like just have been actual characters in Star Wars. So it's like, because like he had a line. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure that he had a line in and the whole Life Day celebration. It's like, who is he supposed to be? Like,
just
why
someone,
would
I think.
why when they're doing all this like all these references to earlier things and references to what's going on in like after the sequel trilogy, it's like, why would they just have a random dude
just a random
show
Rodian.
up?
Yeah.
And yeah.
So there are
missed out on something. But.
In the 2015 run of Darth Vader, there were 4 Rodians, and all that's canon. Everything from 2015 onward, all books, comics, movies, those are canon shows.
Interesting.
So there was a Rodian. There were 4 Rodians, a group of Rodians, because they were trying to find Solo because he killed Greedo.
Oh,
and
really?
then they happened upon who was it? Oh, it was Jango Fett, and Jango Fett killed him, or Boba Fett. Boba Fett killed him.
Okay, I was like, wow, if Jango Fett managed to.
No, well, he's dead. So
yeah.
But so that happened, and then in Star Wars Resistance, which you don't have to watch that one. It really doesn't add anything to any of the movies. I liked it, and my favorite non-Force sensitive characters in it, because he's an engineer who can't function socially, and I relate to that. But there is a Rodian in that too. So there are, I think, 6 or 7 canon Rodians, and then there's that one. I don't know who it's supposed to be, but he's there.
Yeah, it just was kind of maybe in episode 9 when the fleet of ships arrived to save the day, which I actually hated that part too, because like it's episode 8. The huge plot point was like maybe we're like on our own here, and then they just solved that in episode 9 by saying, haha, nope, see, there actually are ships. There actually are people who will come and help us. Just ignore that it didn't work in episode 8. That doesn't matter now because they're here.
They're all coming to this planet that we have no idea where it is.
Yeah, maybe that Rodian was just one of the dudes in one of the ships. Problem solved. It's now canon.
Well, and then they had Ewoks.
Yes. Yeah.
Which you don't really find them off of what
the moon of Endor.
Yes.
Not Ewoks. I believe it was the moon.
It wasn't Ewoks.
Oh, do you mean the Porgs? Is it the Porgs you're talking about, or who are you talking about?
No, I'm talking about the ones that have the hood and you can't see their face.
Jawas.
They had the off-world Jawas.
Yes. Yeah,
they had 3 of them for no reason. But
yeah. It's also like, how did these guys get here?
I saw a complaint because I was reading through some of the reviews after I watched it. And someone complained about how Rey's lightsabers looked too much like everyone else's. I'm like, they're Legos. What do you want them to do?
Yeah, they're Lego pieces. There's like one Lego piece mold for the lightsaber hilt.
It's like, what do you want from them? I mean, I'm sure Darth, if they have a Darth Tyrannus, or what's his name, Count Dooku one, probably looks exactly the same, even though his is curved.
No, actually, there are 2 because I do have Lego Count Dooku around here somewhere. Probably.
Oh, really?
Never mind then. I have like a box of Legos that there's something going through because they're just taking up space in like my closet. It's like, I'll actually sort through this, kind of get all the good stuff out and just box all the bad stuff back out. Count Dooku does have a specialty Lego piece where it is curved.
Did he make an appearance?
Count Dooku.
I don't think he did. Neither did Grievous.
I liked Count Dooku a lot, especially in the Clone Wars series.
Oh yeah, he
was cool. And
they definitely dove into him.
Because like in episodes 2 and 3, he's kind of just there for like 1 fight scene, 2 fight scenes, and then he just gets beheaded by Anakin Skywalker.
Yep.
And it's so funny because it's like he really thinks he has something going on with like Palpatine or whatever.
Do you know what?
And then Palpatine's like, "Hey, Anakin, my new apprentice, kill this old dude." And he's like, "What?" He just gets like beheaded.
Do it.
Yep.
Do you know how he became Count? Do you know how he fell? So there's a book called.
He was trained under. He was either trained under Master Yoda or Qui-Gon Jinn. He was trained under Master Yoda, right? Who was trained under Qui? No, I think Qui-Gon Jinn was also trained under Master Yoda, right?
Yeah, I think so. Probably. I mean, he again alive for 900 years. Probably.
Yeah.
No, but so what happened?
Wait. Oh, sorry.
No, what were you gonna say? First. You can't wait for.
I cannot wait until Star Wars just goes like 900 years into the future with like Baby Yoda being like a 900-year-old dude, just kind of chilling around the exact same way as Yoda was in episode 5. I want to see that series, just like retired Baby Yoda.
I just want to
Just
see
hanging out eating eggs or whatever.
I want to see I want to know what species they are. That's one thing I want out of the Mandalorian. So I want to find out what species that Yoda and
Yes.
the child are.
Yeah.
And I want to see the home planet because apparently them being force sensitive is so rare.
Yeah.
So that'd be
It's
cool.
definitely something. Yeah, because there hasn't. I don't think there's been ever a Star Wars book that's ever kind of delved into Yoda species whatsoever. Like not even talked about it, not even hinted at it.
Nope.
So yeah, this is going to be huge.
I think even one of the books said like species unknown for Yoda, and that was it. They didn't go into it at all.
Yeah, which it's so. I mean, of course, knowing Star Wars now, you know that the child has to be related to Master Yoda in some aspect, because you can't have any kind of role in Star Wars unless you're related to someone from Episode 4 or 5. I don't think Yoda was in 4, so
yeah, it was 5.
Maybe Baby Yoda is the child of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Just some weird relationship going on there.
Him and Satine
this will be canon
popped
now.
out of Yoda. Popped out of Yoda's species. This doesn't look right.
This is why Yoda's species is unknown. He's just a random mutation in every species. You can just be a Yoda.
This doesn't look like a Rodian.
I have solved spoilers for season 8 of The Mandalorian.
Obi-Wan is the father. They go on space. They go on space, yes. Maury. You are the father.
Absolutely, and there's just Obi-Wan's like Force ghost there.
Actually,
like, man.
Actually, he's the third twin to Luke and Leia, or the third. He's a triplet to Luke and Leia.
That's it.
Yep, that's why no one knows about it. I mean, he said he hit 3. He said he hit them all. He hit the one.
Yeah. This is absolutely why. Yeah. It's like Padme was like in labor or whatever, and like the twins popped out, and then that was all dealt with, and they're like, oh yeah, she's dead. And then because they're robots and they're stupid, they're like, oh, she's actually not dead. She's actually giving birth to her third child. Here it is.
We cut this one out of her.
Its name shall be Baby Yoda.
This is the child. She's not alive to give a name.
We will put him on this planet and also put a tracker in him so bounty hunters can come for him. Like 30 years. Yeah. Problem solved. You
heard it here first, folks.
Yes. Inside scoop from Mark Hamill himself.
Exactly.
Yep.
The one and only. But yeah, so the Star Wars Christmas special was funny, unnecessary, and
it was
overall not. It did not live up to its name, which thankfully, but also not good. It's
like a standard Lego film. If you've ever seen like a Lego little special or movie before, that's outside of like the Lego movie universe, whatever that's called. This is basically just like the standard.
I don't think it has
production.
I don't think it has the power to kill Tam though.
No.
It's not Lego Ninjago.
Absolutely not. No. The Star Wars Christmas special, the original one, would kill Tam 1,000,000 times over. So yeah, I guess I have to get prepped to watch that one for the next podcast.
Starting the next podcast. Yeah. So next week obviously we're off. I mean, we wouldn't be doing it anyway.
Yeah.
If we had to skip the week, because next week is already Thanksgiving. Can you believe it's already November?
Crazy, right?
Already the end of November.
I was talking to some friends at NC State, and they're in their final exam week now. They're almost into winter break. I don't know what it's like for UNC Charlotte. Are like you guys in your final exam week yet, or?
No, we go until December 23rd. That's the last final exam day.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Oh, dang.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like.
But we also started late.
Okay.
We started in like the second week of September.
Yeah, that is right. Okay, so that does make sense now. It's so weird. It used to all kind of college schedules being loosely synced up, off by like a week, maybe at the most. But it's so weird now because like NC State has like their winter break is like 2 months long because they don't go back until like the end of January. So they have like all of December off and almost all of January off.
Well, they also got COVID, so
it's insane. Oh yeah. NC State did not do a great job, but at least they like shut down in time.
Unlike
a lot
ECU.
Of other schools still. Oh, I know that like apps had a problem with COVID, like recently.
ECU still has parties going on, but are we surprised?
Oh yeah, no.
It's ECU.
Yep.
It shouldn't be.
There's a lot, and it's only going to get worse, especially now that colder temperatures, and because there's like no humidity in the air, COVID spreads like so much faster. So
well, we got a vaccine or 2 vaccines in the works, so that's at least a positive.
Yeah, and they both look very promising. Except for I saw that like the one at Pfizer.
It's going to be kept at negative 70 degrees Celsius,
yep.
which is 200 degrees Kelvin for any of you nerds.
Yes, it is.
And something in Fahrenheit. I don't know that math.
The vague part of my brain that still remembers engineering stuff does recall that. So, but yeah, the other vaccines, I believe that one can just be stored in like the normal vaccine storing temperatures. So.
Yeah, Moderna. That was 94% efficacy. So. What
I just need is I need a Star Wars Christmas special vaccine so I can sit through the entire Star Wars Christmas special.
Without stopping.
Yeah. So we'll be back with that the next week.
So I think this is a good place to end because I really have nothing else to add on anything that we've talked about.
One thing I will say with my own YouTube channel is after not having content in so long, I have finally like last week, the week before maybe, I recorded a video that I'm in the process of editing, but I recorded so much footage for that it's taking me forever to edit. But it is so good. I am so excited. If you're a fan of this podcast, you have to watch that episode because something happens as I am watching a show from my childhood that absolutely blew my mind because it's just like how I predicted on this podcast the Star Wars Christmas Special 2 coming out. I also predicted something else in this podcast that came true in the episode of something that I'd never seen before when I was watching. So I must be a psychic. This is the only explanation. My years studying magic finally
and your psychology
came into something. Yeah. And my psychology
combination of the two. It's
those things combined, they like merged, and I am a living god.
You should watch. You should write horoscopes.
Oh yeah. Oh yes, absolutely. That'll be my next gig. That's what I'll get paid the big bucks for.
Exactly.
But yeah, so just stay tuned for that. I was hoping to release it this Wednesday, but like Wednesday the 18th. But I don't believe that'll happen now because I still have so much left to edit. I had like over an hour of raw footage, and I know the video will be like 8 minutes long. So
well, I've done that before. I think it was a couple months ago. It's my most viewed video now. My NHL bracket thing that happened. Like it was like before they had announced the bracket thing was actually going to happen. So like we were still like deep in quarantine. It's got like 905 views, and it's crazy.
Hey, nice.
Yeah, but like I had like over an hour and a half of footage, and I had when I eventually got it down to 40 minutes. And it was really, and it's still my most viewed video, which is crazy.
Right. Hey, cool.
So, as for me on content, I have an idea.
Hey,
I watched
one step further.
I watched 18 shows during quarantine.
Yeah.
Up until now, because I'm still finishing Milo's Murphy's Law, which, by the way, is a fantastic show.
Oh yes,
it's really funny.
All of that, it's so good.
It's not like Phineas and Ferb good. It's just really funny and chaotic.
Yeah. Like it's definitely not up to the level of Phineas and Ferb, but it's like it gets pretty close. Like I mean, honestly, for a kids cartoon, I know there are some great kids cartoons, but that one especially, I'm like, this is good.
A kids cartoon that's like meant for kids, but like not like one of the ones that's like a kids cartoon, but like is also kind of not a kids cartoon. This is specifically a kids cartoon.
Oh yeah. It's made by the same people who made
Dan Parvin and Swampy.
Yeah.
Swampy. Yep. I don't remember his last name.
Swampy Marsh.
It is Swampy Marsh. Okay.
Yeah. Like Swampy is like his nickname. His last name actually is Marsh. I think they call him based on whatever. But yeah,
And for anyone who has watched the show, and I'm still confused about it, is pistachios. Hopefully, is that answered at all in the next couple of seasons? Because why pistachio? Why specifically pistachios? I've never understood. I kind of want to ask Dan Povenmire himself on TikTok, see if he maybe makes a video.
If you haven't got, there is an episode where it's heavily focused on pistachios.
Like the one in the future?
Yes.
Okay,
I
so
think
yeah,
so.
I've watched that one.
Have you already gotten that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then one gets stuck in the past.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That's basically all the explanation I think you get about pistachios specifically. But it was enough for me.
But like, why I was like, maybe that's what I'll ask him.
You could ask
Why
that
in
about
particular
so much stuff.
pistachios?
You could ask, why did Phineas and Ferb have a platypus out of any
He's answered
animal?
that. He's answered that, and he's answered why they're blue
Has.
too. Apparently,
Oh yeah.
he said like it was just randomly they were just Perry was just blue, but like apparently in nature they can be blue.
Interesting.
So like he like duetted a video because he's on TikTok a lot. So he like duetted a video of like someone saying that like they can be blue in nature, and he was just like, I just predicted it.
Nice. So yeah, I don't know if there's a specific reason for pistachios or not, but that is a question though.
He actually has another show going through Disney right now. He said that he's got another thing coming. So.
Yeah. I've seen that. I'm excited for that. They tried for a while to get a show based on the Fireside Girls from Phineas and Ferb, picked up by Disney, but Disney never wanted to pick that one up. They also tried to get they tried to get another show picked up called the Agents of OWCA, but Disney didn't end up picking that up, but they did give them permission to turn it in to like a short movie kind of, which they did release, and we have that short movie out now, which was pretty good. The theme song from that was absolutely great. Phineas and Ferb was just a fantastic concept, and I'm glad it worked so well. I really like the early Phineas and Ferb more than like the later on Phineas and Ferb, but all of it's great.
They're like masters of children's television.
Oh yeah,
like they're so good. Also, Dan Povenmire can do any voice you ask him to. I can't believe he's
so funny.
Dr. Doofenshmirtz. Like it caught me off guard the first time I found that out.
He voices so many characters. I was so surprised. There's actually one episode of Milo Murphy's Law where like there's like this whole scene where two characters are having this really long, in-depth conversation, and he voices both of those characters.
Well, I mean,
it was so fantastic to like see that, to just see just a whole scene where he's just talking to himself.
Voice actors are crazy.
Oh yeah. It's like so great.
It's like in the Clone Wars, D. Bradley Baker. Like if there was just an episode with clones, it's just D. Bradley Baker talking to himself.
Yeah.
In the same voice, man. So it's not like he even has to change anything. He's just talking to himself. Yeah. You might have to change like inflection or something. I'm
actually
like that.
kind of curious now with like voice actors for shows. It's like, do they get paid like just a flat rate for each episode, or do they get paid for like each character?
I would imagine they just get a flat rate because that'd be because D. Bradley Baker would be swimming in money. I mean,
but like because
I found out that D. Bradley Baker. Remember in that episode where that big fat fish comes in the SpongeBob's and orders the thing with pickles, and he's like, "There's no pickles."
I vaguely remember that one. Yeah,
that was D. Bradley Baker.
Oh man.
He's like, also Perch Perkins in SpongeBob. He's like 100 different characters. Cool. He's every clone in Clone Wars because he would have made it bank if it was after every character.
It's so funny with Clone Wars because like imagine that there's an episode where it's just a bunch of clones and Anakin Skywalker, and they're the only characters in the whole episode. And like so Anakin has like X number of lines, and the clones have like like 10 times the lines, and it's like they're getting paid the exact same.
Well, and then there's that one episode, I think it was in season 4, where we're introduced to Fives.
Oh yes,
and it was them going through the.
That was earlier than season 4, right?
Was it 3?
I thought it was season 2.
Maybe I know it was at the very beginning of the season. I don't think it was 2. I think it was.
No.
I think it was either 3 or 4. It was the episode. It was like 1 through 3 or whatever, but like it took place in the clone factory or birthing place or whatever.
Oh wait, no,
for like 3 straight episodes.
Yeah. You actually think of because I believe you meet Fives earlier on than that.
Okay,
Fives is a character that you meet because there's like one episode. I think it's in season 2 where it's like you meet like a bunch of clones. Yeah. And then slowly you watch them all die off over all the seasons. And it's kind of tragic when you realize, like, oh, these are the clones I was introduced to so early on, and now, like, all except for, like, 2 of them are dead.
Mm-hmm. Well, you actually find out later on in Rebels.
Yes, I had seen that, like, one or two of the clones makes an appearance. Three of them survive. Cool.
They actually, what they did was Rex. So the one who actually escaped with Ahsoka.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Captain Rex. He's one of my favorite.
Me too. I love Rex. I love Rex and I love Fives.
Yeah,
Fives was probably one of the more tragic deaths because he got his chip taken out, and then he was trying to tell everyone like, please take your chip out, and then he died. That was so tragic.
Season 6 of the Clone Wars was one of the best seasons of the Clone Wars, I think, out of all of them.
Season 7 was really good though. It was one of the last couple episodes.
The only part I didn't like was like Ahsoka's initial arc, where like she was just kind of like, oh, I'm just kind of hanging out with these like other bounty hunter people. It kind of
didn't really add anything.
Yeah, it didn't really add it. People were expecting a lot, and the end of season 7 delivered completely. But like the first part, especially with like Ahsoka, was just kind of like, oh,
I watched the video.
Could be all expositional stuff.
I remember earlier today. I watched they like cut together scenes from Clone Wars and Revenge of the Sith when Anakin turned to the dark side. That was painful to watch.
Oh yeah.
That was painful.
The
Clone Wars has made watching Revenge of the Sith like one of the most heart-wrenching experiences. Like,
Clone Wars added so much more heart and feel to everything that goes on, because you watch like episode 2 of like the movies and something's starting, and the episode 3 it's kind of all dying down. So you're kind of like, oh, but when you really get like invested in what all the characters have been throughout the entirety of the Clone Wars, it's like, wow.
Exactly.
It really recontextualizes a lot, which, I mean,
I almost feel like they need that for the sequel trilogy, like to bridge together 8 and 9 in some way.
I think you could have a series that goes on for like 12 seasons and still don't even get close to bridging 8 and 9 because they're just so far apart.
I don't know if Dave Filoni does it though, and he's a mastermind.
Yeah. It's just
him and Jon Favreau, they've been killing it with.
I just so wish we got the episode 9 that actually built off of episode 8, because I would have loved to see. Like when they made Rey related to Palpatine, that's what wrecked the series for me. That's what
nine had some good scenes though.
When Ben Solo died, it's kind of like, okay, there goes any like. It's kind of like, oh, you're redeemed now. You can. It's like it just gave him it was such an easy out for like all these difficult like plot points. Like I love the visuals of 9 too. 9 was great for that. There's a lot of stuff that like I liked, but it was small stuff. Like the big picture as a whole, I was just like, this seems like fan service exclusively, but not like the fan service of like new fans. Fan service of old fans
who don't even like the sequel trilogy.
What?
Who don't even like the sequel trilogy?
Yeah. So it's just
those people didn't even like the prequels though. So it's hard to satisfy those people.
Yeah. It's just a little. It's a little, and it makes it kind of more difficult for me to get invested in like the movies and stuff now. But I am glad for the Mandalorian, kind of, because that feels so much more like Star Wars. Mandalorian feels very much like what Star Wars should be.
Yeah. And
the movies just like 9 did not do that for me whatsoever.
I think 9 made the same mistake that the prequels did and relied too heavily on CGI.
Yeah, and just like a whole lot of the prequels didn't do fan service as heavily and stuff, but they referenced a lot of stuff from the original trilogy. That it's kind of just, maybe it detracted some, maybe they should have done things differently. They really couldn't have known then. I mean, they could have. George Lucas kind of just went a little wild with some things, with Jar Jar Binks and young Anakin and all this stuff.
I don't hate Jar Jar Binks as much as most people, but I understand why people hate Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah, I don't mind him as much either. He kind of seems like just like a weird character.
Completely unnecessary, except for, I guess, he gave Palpatine all the powers, which was dumb, but...
Yeah. It's kind of just a shame that like his biggest role is kind of just you messing up. Like one of the things
they mentioned that, by the way, in the prequels.
Not
in the holiday special. Remember,
yeah,
this priority is going to be a bigger disaster than when Jar Jar Binks gave his speech to the Senate.
Yeah. It was. Yeah, I was really expecting Jar Jar Binks to make an appearance, honestly, in the Star Wars Christmas special. But it's like Jar Jar. One of the things that I like about the Clone Wars is, again, it gives more characterization to Jar Jar Binks. He still messes a lot of things up. It's all a lot of just like the gags of like, Jar Jar can't hold a wrench right or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like when he got his tongue stuck in like the pod racer engine in episode 1 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But episode 1, I like episode 1 a lot still because it has Qui-Gon Jinn, my favorite Jedi of all time still.
Mm-hmm.
And Darth Maul, who I was so glad didn't actually die when he was chopped in half.
Like most of us.
Yeah.
The reason they gave was a little weird at first. Was like, oh, my rage kept me alive. But then in the end, like especially when in Rebels, have you seen that scene? His last fight against Kenobi.
I have seen some. I know that Darth Maul is in Rebels, and he's in there like a few times, like a small.
He's
amount.
in there. He's in there quite a lot, actually. He's got a pretty decent. It's not as big as the role in Clone Wars, but he was still in a decent, like a pretty good amount. Like pretty sure he faced off. He may have like momentarily faced off against Vader, which is really cool.
Yes, I remember seeing something about the one episode that I watched. Is because I was like flipping through channels one time, like several years ago, when Star Wars Rebels was airing for the first time live, and I remember it was like a season finale. It was like him and Ahsoka or something had like teamed up to fight Vader or something like that, and it looked really cool. But it's just like I don't know, like I need to watch Rebels at some point. It's just so hard for me to kind of get back in and invested in that because like it doesn't have like the Clone Wars I could watch because like I knew all the characters and was familiar with all of them, but I'm trying to get used to like a whole new cast of people.
They're really cool characters.
We'll
probably see them.
It's just kind of hard to get invested in all that.
I was going to say something earlier about Rex in Rebels. In Rebels, he gets like a beard, right?
Yeah,
like a really white beard. And so, like, a lot of people, like, they saw that and, like, they realized he was with – you remember the guy in – I think it was in episode 6, with the white beard when they were storming the shields on Endor?
No,
well, there's a guy who looks exactly like Rex in Rebels. And so a lot of people was like, oh, my God, it's Rex. But Dave Filoni is like, maybe it's Rex, maybe it's not. I don't know. He won't tell anyone. But and then apparently Hera, the Twi'lek in Rebels, she's one of the pilots in the original trilogy.
Oh.
Who fought in the Battle of Yavin. So there's just a lot of cool things that they've kind of made into, and there's gonna be a lot of Rebel stuff in Mandalorian.
Yeah, which I am now quickly realizing that.
Yeah.
So if it comes to it, I will go and binge watch all of Rebels in its entirety.
It took me a week, so I mean, granted, I had nothing to do. It was in the middle of summer, so.
Okay.
If not, I'll compile like a list of episodes for you to watch.
Yeah. Just like the essential episodes, like. Because like in the Clone Wars, I know they had a lot of episodes that were just kind of like fluff where nothing really happens. It's of no consequence.
There's a lot of that in.
Yeah, and it's like I would still like those of the Clone Wars because I knew the characters, but in Rebels, if I'm not really invested in the characters' lives, I don't really care about all the fluffy extra stuff. That's
the characters are very likable in Rebels, especially the Jedi.
Okay, yeah, like I may have to get invested in it. Like I don't know.
It takes a couple episodes. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. So we will see.
Remember we were supposed to end this like 15 minutes ago.
Oh yeah, that's fine. I believe if we have any really devoted listeners here, they're so used to this.
Very true. Devoted. Episode 5.
Yeah. It's be like, oh, this is over now, and we go on for like 20 more minutes. Like, because we'll just say like, oh, this is over, and they'll check the time thing and be like, oh yeah, there's like half an hour
Well, there was
of the podcast.
four listeners last time and 5 in the 3rd episode, so still 0 on episode 2. So no one heard us say Mark Hamill 52 times.
Interesting.
At least on YouTube. I haven't checked the Spotify. I sent this to Brennan the other day. We got an email from like a podcast guru or whatever. So that was something. I'm not going to email them back, but
saying that he listened to it or wanted to give us some advice.
Yeah, just don't mention Mark Hamill's name 52 times is probably his advice.
Yeah. Being like, what's his obsession with the Mark Hamill? You know what? I think that guy was Mark Hamill.
You know what? That would have made sense, guys. Quit saying my name.
Did listen to our podcast.
Finally, it's time to have him on, right?
Yeah. Finally, we had to make 5 episodes for Mark Hamill to listen.
But
yeah, finally did. But.
So, if you like this video or if you like this podcast, because not everyone's watching, some people are listening.
If you like this audio, this definite audio, and perhaps visual component as well, if you're watching it.
Consider subscribing, as always.
Consider it. We're not
going to force
you. No, we're not going to force you.
But if you want to hear our voices every 2 weeks, and then actually the next time we do it, it'll be every week. But by then you should probably be watching the Star Wars Christmas special with us.
Oh yes. This is your homework.
Exactly.
Get through. I don't know. How are we going to break? Are we going to watch the entire thing and talk about it in just one episode, or like break it up like part by part? We're
going to see how many episodes it takes us to get through it. Unless you want to just like, so wait, there'll be it'll be week after Thanksgiving, 1st week of December, 2nd week of December, 3rd week of December, I think. Let's see. So the week we will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. Do you think we can split it up into 5 parts and talk about it?
Sure, yeah. So if you are viewing this or listening to this, watch the first 5th of the Star Wars Christmas special, so you'll have some kind of frame of reference when we just start this, the next episode, and just start screaming and ripping our hair out. You'll know why that's occurring.
So no news. If you want your Marvel news from somewhere,
unless something major happens, something like super major happens, like if they're just like, oh yeah, Psych on WandaVision, we're releasing it right now, then we'll talk about that.
And we'll quickly talk about the latest episode of The Mandalorian. I guess by then it'll be 2.
Yeah. Just so briefly,
or 1.
It'll just be like It'll be the lava grasshoppers or whatever ends up occurring as he's traveling to find Ahsoka Tano.
Unless Ahsoka Tano's in it, then I'll probably fanboy about Ahsoka Tano because I love Ahsoka's character.
Oh yeah, fantastic character. For my, it's almost George Lucas has said that he wanted to have her character. Like, he had her character in mind when they were doing episode 3. I don't know why he didn't have any kind of nod to her character at all in that entire
Not even a little bit. And then 2 years later made the show. It's like, where was Ahsoka? If you had the idea then, like how, But
anyway, before we get too far into that, we're going to end the episode here. So subscribe to my channel and his channel.
Which is not Brennan. Contrary to what his little badge thing over there says. It says Brennan. It's not Brennan.
Yeah. I am Brennan. My channel is not Brennan quite yet. We will soon merge into one and become unstoppable. But
make sure to check out his video, which is supposed to be awesome. And I might make a video that isn't this. We'll see.
So subscribe to his channel. I mean, I guess the podcasts are up on your channel. So
exactly. So if you're
YouTube, then
if you're subscribing to me, if you're subscribing for the podcast, you're subscribing to me. Yes. So go head over. It should be in the end card.
Tricked you that way.
Exactly. It should be in the end card, so he'll probably also have it. So you can just click on the end card. His channel will be there. And
cool.
You guys have a good night. Good day.
I have my own end card.
Go whatever.
Good life.
Good life, yes. At least a good life until we have the podcast next.
Yes. Then just your good life will be on a podcast by podcast basis here.
Well, Brennan's got to predict you how good your life is going to be, remember?
Yes. Come back for your horoscope.
Exactly.
We will see you next time.
Peace out, guys.